I saw Wonka and I really liked it. Hi guys, I'm Taya, one half of Your Little Sisters Productions. I'm a writer and a storyteller who loves watching movies. Be sure to check out our original works. The audio drama Adventures of the Dragonborn is here on our channel, and more to come. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Now let's talk about Wonka, starring Timothee Chalamet and a large, fantastic ensemble cast. I'll be honest, I knew very little about this movie. I never even saw a proper trailer before seeing it. I knew it was a musical and that Hugh Grant was playing an Oompa Loompa, and that was the extent of my knowledge. However, a friend said it was good and she was willing to watch it again with me, so I figured, why not? It was delightful and silly, which I have been craving at the movies lately. I am just tired of doom and gloom at the theaters. Dramas, virtue signaling, true stories of serious subjects. I just want to be entertained. And storytelling. I miss good storytelling in family movies. I want bad guys that are just bad. I want good guys that I can actually root for. I'm seriously over gray characters. Sorry. More like gray was fine for a time. I get the appeal, but I'm so sick of it. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments, just be respectful. But going to the movies used to be a fun experience. Now, movies that don't bum me out are few and far between. Which is why, when I see something I actually like, I want to spread the word. Like, the feeling of this movie was on par with Matilda. It was that same Roald Dahl outrageous style. It had over-the-top bad guys, bright colors, and this awkward sense of justice. Spoilers moving forward. You have been warned. 3, 2, 1. Category 1. Story. What I liked. It was funny and lighthearted. The story was cute. Nothing life-altering, nothing preachy, just inspiring you to follow your dreams and do what you love. Wonka's journey was full of random turns, like why a giraffe? He comes to town hoping to spend one night in squalor, then sell his chocolates in the morning. He is offered a room for free as long as he signs a contract saying he will pay the next day. A washer girl warns him to read the fine print, and he seems to, yet after he signs and his earnings are confiscated, he learns he is now indebted to the inn/laundromat and must be a slave until his debt is paid off. Turns out he can't read. The washer girl and he sneak out to sell chocolate again, but don't really get going until the whole team of enslaved laundry workers agree to help. And the washer girl, Noodle, finally teaches him to read. A funny little orange man keeps stealing chocolate from Willy at night, and after setting a trap, Willy learns that the 4 cocoa beans he took from a random island belonged to the Oompa Loompas. And this little orange man, Lofty, had followed him for years to regain what was stolen by 1,000-fold. When the ragtag team has finally enough money to open a shop, the greedy gang of corrupt chocolatiers bribe Mrs. Scrubbit to poison the chocolates, in the most ridiculous way ever. And sadly, his shop burns. The chocolate mafia offer him a payout, including the freedom of all his new friends as long as he leaves. The Oompa Loompa Lofty comes on the ship with him and lets him know he only owes one more jar of chocolate. When Willy realizes Noodle is a Slugworth and not an orphan, he gets off the boat right as it explodes. He gathers the group, saves Noodle, and then sets out on a heist to steal the ledger that will condemn the chocolate mafia. But he and Noodle get caught and drowned in chocolate, but before he dies, he asks them to pay back the little orange man with one last jar of chocolate. The bad guys eat it for themselves, and as punishment for stealing from an Oompa Loompa, Lofty makes them pay 1,000-fold, and all their chocolate, currently drowning Willy and Noodle, is leaked out into the public fountain, saving the day and bankrupting the bad guys, chocolately speaking. Noodle finds her mom and is the heir to the Slugworth Company, and Willy starts his chocolate factory with his new friend Lofty the Oompa Loompa. The 3 fat cats are blown away and get their ledger found. The chief of police is caught as an accomplice, and Mrs. Scrubbit and Mr. Bleacher are arrested and drink their own hair-growing poison, to hilarious results. There is also a sweet subplot of Willy doing all of this for his mother, who made the best chocolate. What I didn't like. The ending was my least favorite part, because while we see him start the chocolate factory with the little orange man, and therefore achieve his dreams, he just had a big revelation about sharing. The secret to his mother's chocolate being so good was because of who he shared it with. Then he shares it with his little found family and says it's just as good as he remembers, meaning his new family is just as good as his mom. And then they all leave and go their separate ways. Like, everybody gets their own happy ending, but they're all separate happy endings. Willy is just alone with Hugh Grant. I wish they would have shown a shot of his friends coming to the factory, even just as patrons to his store. Next category, music. What I like. The singing was nothing to write home about per se, but it didn't suck. None of the songs were painful to get through. It was just a bizarre and offbeat family musical. Timothee Chalamet sang no better or worse than Gene Wilder. The songs were kind of forgettable, but still really catchy. And my favorite part was that they always moved the plot along. I love the first song as it set the tone for the movie and got us caught up to right where we needed to be. From the first words uttered in this movie, you know it's a whimsical and quirky ride. Like, the songs didn't detract from the story. They were just part of the storytelling. And there weren't too many. I get annoyed when in a musical, it's just 30 seconds of talking and story, and then it's another song starting. Or when you have a great song, but it doesn't make sense in the movie, so they shoehorn it in. Wonka avoided all of this by only having songs when they move the plot forward. Every song felt like it ended in a different place than it started. What I didn't like. I did think the song Willy and Noodle sing together was a little odd given the ages and relationship. It was on the edge of seeming romantic. But they never actually got there. It's like he's more like her weird cousin, who's older but not quite wiser. It was just almost a tonal shift, but it wasn't. And I was happy that it wasn't. And why did the Oompa Loompas stick their butts in the air when singing? I didn't get that. Next category, characters. And there's a lot of them. What I like. Wonka had villains, like 6 villains, but they were actually bad, and they actually get their comeuppance, and don't just have a change of heart randomly or explain some backstory that means it's not their fault. Nope, they're just jerks and they get what's coming to them. Timothee Chalamet was fun to watch and slightly deranged, which is all I ask for in a Willy Wonka. I've heard people criticize the character because he's a much happier Willy than Gene Wilder's, but I think people forget that Gene Wilder's Wonka was putting on a show for most of the movie, and him getting angry was part of that. The whole thing was a gag so he could leave his company to a child. So this version wasn't as far off as people think. The Oompa Loompa Lofty. I think Hugh Grant was in this movie just the right amount. He plays a key role in the story, so he didn't feel out of place, but I wasn't annoyed by thousands of CGI Hughs dancing around making zero sense. He was just one of the many wacky characters like all the others. Slugworth, Mr. Fickelgruber, and Mr. Prodno. Someone said Slugworth's casting was off because he looked nothing like the character in the original movie, but that wasn't Slugworth. He was an actor Willy hired, Wilkinson. I was kind of wondering if he was going to turn out to be the comedian or something. Either way, don't get me wrong, I'm a stickler for adaptation and series constant continuity. Why are your eyes brown? Why is your hair that color? But neither the book nor the original movie show Slugworth, so I have no issues. And I thought the actor was great in the role. The other two, I forget their names, were comedy relief. They embodied the rich fat cats who cheat the system and can only be brought down by the capitalistic competition made possible by the unity of the underdogs. So fun. Mrs. Scrubbit and Bleacher. Mrs. Scrubbit and Bleacher were Umbridge style of evil, using fine print and hidden fees to enslave people, but they did so in lederhosen and a ridiculous silk robe. So you just don't think about it too much and you're laughing. They're like something out of a Muppet movie or on par with Roald Dahl's other villain, Mrs. Trunchbull. Wonka's gang of mismatched friends from the laundromat are wonderful. We get a little backstory for each, and they use their offbeat skills to help Willy with his dream. Even after they're freed, they come back to save Noodle and help Willy. Love them. Noodle. Every comedy needs a straight man who isn't insane so that the insane character's insanity can shine. Noodle is the straight man of this movie, and makes everything grounded from the other crazy characters. Yet I wasn't bored with her, because while she was skeptical and moody, she also helped out and went along with the crazy plans at very high risk to her own safety. She believes in Willy's dream just enough, and genuinely wants to help. I liked her, and I don't normally like the kid sidekick trope. What I didn't like: the last villain was the chief of police, who sells his loyalty for chocolate. He holds out saying he could never, then gives in when the amount is in the thousands. I like this idea and the character, and the actor did a great job. However, the running joke was that every time we saw him, he was increasingly fatter. I'm just not a fan of fat jokes. But I do think they did it in the best way possible by making it so unrealistic as he gained several sizes in only 1 week. But I could have done without the fat jokes altogether. The lady sitting next to me must have thought it was by far the funniest thing in the movie. She laughed so hard. So, to each their own. The Oompa Loompa was played by Hugh Grant, who was great at his job of being the quote-unquote serious and unyielding Lofty. He was smaller than the Oompa Loompas of the original movie, because they CGI'd him rather than giving an actor with dwarfism the role. They could have CGI'd a little person just as easily. So while I think Hugh Grant did a great job, I get the uproar. I would have liked to see a little person in the role, and possibly in the short flashback there could have been a lot of them in the scene. So I see the missed opportunity. Noodle is described as a bookworm, yet we only see her with a book once, and she only talks about books once when she says her dreams of finding her mother. I wish they would have utilized her love of books and maybe highlighted the fact that she wanted Wonka to read, not just for his own safety, but so that she could share her books with him. When she gets her happy ending with her mom, I thought, oh yeah, she likes books, I forgot. Next category is the overall. Overall, what I liked. The nods to the original were just enough. They didn't seem shoehorned in or beat me over the head with it. They didn't try and fill plot holes or over-explain how things came to be. They were just the right amount of subtle. I really enjoyed Timothee Chalamet singing Pure Imagination. It really culminated how that song was kind of sprinkled throughout the entire movie. It was a really nice touch. What I didn't like is there were some sticky spots in the visual effects. I don't understand why they CGI'd the dog. Like, training dogs to act isn't hard, and they love it. So why CGI him? The giraffe I get, and the tiger makes perfect sense. But why the dog? In the end, I think this is a great family movie, and I encourage everyone to see it so Hollywood will make more family movies that are good, weird fun. Give another shout out to Lindsay K. Art. Her links are in the description below. Make sure you like and follow, and check out our original stories in our audio drama, The Adventures of the Dragonborn.